Welcome back to my channel. I suppose you're wondering why I'm welding at the lathe. We'll get to that part. I have the rear end temporarily mounted into the car because of some things I needed to know. I'm going to be putting the new brake lines on, and I wanted to relocate the brass distribution block and hide it a little bit to make it a little bit cleaner installation. So I put the rear end back in the car so I can see where this bumper met and just a general clearance underneath. I marked with a couple of pieces of tape where I think I can bring the block down from where it was originally mounted on the diff bolt and just bring it back on top of here and hide it out of the way and run the hard lines from this area in between these two pieces of tape down along the back here and back in through here, and I'll show you all that when I get the rear end back out of the car. I'd like to put the brake assembly on and look to see where the emergency brake cables are going to go and all that, but I'm not doing that right now. I want to move forward with this. That's where I'm at right now. Springs are in, shocks are in, everything's in that's supposed to be in, and I got the car jacked up, so I'm bearing this is be like the ride height. So once again, I'm testing this new mounting point. I want to clean up and make my brake line installation a little cleaner, neater, hidden, all that kind of stuff. Customize it to my liking. Here's a fitting temporarily installed. Lines right up with the fitting that goes right to the brass distribution block. Looking good. So now I gotta measure this somehow. I can't do that. Well, I got the camera going here, but that'll be the next thing. Get that measured and then order that brake line. Then after that, I'm thinking about putting the drive shaft in just for size and seeing where the parking brake cables are going to go. Of course, that'll require me to put the brakes on the axle and all that stuff. You got to do it, you got to do it. Step in the process here. I got the brake caliper in position right, and here's the emergency brake cable. Everything's looking good, you know, for clearance and all that kind of stuff. And here's the original passage hole for the original brake cable, and you know, I'm just going to use that. That's all fine, good and well. So I put it through there, and it's loose, and it rattles around there, and I'm thinking over time this plastic sheeting might get worn because of that. So now dirt, water, if I happen to run into rain or whatever, will make its way in there and gum up the cable one day, who knows. So the original idea was to put a grommet in there and call it a day, but as you can see, this is some thick material because this is holding the trailing arm mount too. So I thought, okay, so I'll just enlarge the hole a little bit, use a piece of rubber hose, and I'll make a sleeve and put that in there. Well, I really didn't have any rubber hose, but I had some leftover garden hose from another project I was working on with a pressure washer, but not going to get into all that. So I used a step drill and enlarged the hole, and this is going to go in here, and this will be the sleeve for the emergency brake cable. This will pass right through here. This is really nice and loose. It'll just sit in there. And then after that, now I'm gonna route. I wanted to route, it sounded like a good idea anyway, but go right through here, this channel right here, just tuck it up in here and then go forward. Go forward towards the car like that, and then hook it up to the emergency brake cable pedal over there. But this angle right here is just too sharp of a turn. I don't want the cable to bind, so I'm going to run it past this member into this cavity right here and do the same. It'll run through here and then make a curve and go towards the front of the car, the emergency brake cable, where the pedal's at. I did this side first because I wanted to see about how that curve was going to happen. So I got the other one in too. This is test fit. Plenty. They give you plenty of length to play with, so you can trim it your own needs. So I'll show you how I got the brake calipers on there without having to install the hardware and hold them in position so I can do this. Okay, so here's the disc, obviously, and the caliper being held, and so it's not really installed, but it's in the position so you can, test this position theory out. So it's on here. This is probably the relative position of it all. And so I just took a couple of zip ties. And I got to show it from this angle because the camera's just not cooperating. But here's a zip tie, a couple of zip ties. I wrapped around one of the mounting bolts. And that loops around down to, if I can get it, to one of the mounting bolts that holds the axle plate in. You can see this is in the way. But yeah, you can see that part of that, there you go, you can see it wrapped around there, and that's how I got it to relatively hold it in position so that I can do this emergency brake cable fitment. Before I go any farther, this clamp that was holding the fuel line in place down here bolted to the frame, and you can't see because the trailing arm's in the way, that got to go because the trailing arm was hitting it. So now I got to reposition that. I'm going to just attach it right here. That's going to work. That's going to be fine. I enlarged the holes where the old parking brake cables went through, and like I said, I got the old garden hose here, cheapo garden hose I kept from a previous project, whatever, and now that's acting as a grommet for the parking brake cable sheath. This is the driver's side one, continues on down to the clamp. Here's the passenger side coming around. I'll show you that here in a second. Going on down here to another clamp, and then there is the actual parking brake cable that leads up into the car. So now I have to fab up an L bracket that's got two holes in it to hold the other clevises for the exit points of the parking brake cable. And I'm thinking this is going to be a good spot right here where this is at, because down there the next support rib's going to be too close. So this clamp's going to go and this clamp's going to stay. L bracket for the clevises there. And so going back to the passenger side cable, which comes off of here, goes right around here, and this is gonna, I'll get this tucked up in here a little bit more with some other device, so this don't like, because it'll come down. But I'm gonna have this tucked up just a little bit. I'll find some sort of clamping device. Maybe I'll put another one back here and hold that loose. So I got one dead center, and this is a cheapo clamp I'm just using right now. I'll hold the position, and then here's the other side leading back. So that's where we're at now. I gotta get going and fab up the L bracket for that for the two clevises there. So this is my stash. My scrap metal I pull all my junk out of so I can make something when I need to. So I think I found what I need to make this emergency brake clevis holder, I guess you'd call it. Found me this nice thick piece of metal, super strong. This is the plate that'll go bolt up to the floor pan of the car, because that's just too weak to me. I'm gonna drill 4 holes, one in each quarter, and either this will just get welded on here like so, which I think this is the way I'm going to go, depending on clearance, or I'll use this beefy piece of stock right here and use this. I'll weld this on here. This is kind of wide too, so I think I'll end up, if I do that, I'm going to make this a little bit more narrow to bring those two cables closer together, as close as possible, and just cut this end off, like right at this hole, just to cut that off, and do something like that, and then drill another hole for the clevis, this thing right here. Got to get the C-clip off so I can see if this hole is big enough. If not, drill that out. Okay, so I got the holes drilled. I'm just cutting this thing down to size. So this piece I just cut, this is going to be the riser for the emergency brake clevis holder. I'm going to check for fitment and start welding it together. bit something like this right here. So I got some marks you probably can't see, but it'll be just about like that. And the holes already drilled for the bolts. I gotta drill the holes in the floor pan, put some reinforcing washers in there, blah 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 blah. So okay, the holes are drilled and the mounting bolts are fitted to the floor pan. I just got done welding in the nuts to the floor so they can be bolted in from underneath. When I finally fit the part, I would trim the bolts so they won't stick up so far, even though, you know, it's underneath the seat. But still, I still want to trim those. And the part's over here primed. I'll show you that when it's all done. So we got a part. These are the caps that go on the end of the parking brake cable. Cable, you know, comes out this sealed rubber end here. These go in here like so. And then you take one of these C-clips and put it on the appropriate groove that you got available to you. And there you go. All I gotta do now is mount this up. After 4 hours, there it is. It looks like a lot sticking down, but it has to. When I stick the cables through, you'll see here in a second. Okay, so now you can see there's the cables running through, but they're not even going to run through those clevises. They're going to. This is where it's going to terminate, and from here forward, it's going to be cut off. But yeah, you can see. If I can hold the camera straight, steady, that. So you can see, like, it's just like perfect. As long as I got that part of it good. So next after this is to, I'm going to have to totally assemble the brakes and calipers right on the wheel ends in order to, and then pretty much put this whole thing together and then take it apart. Or I'm not sure if I'm going to or not, because I got some, I got to take it way apart anyway, because I got the springs out. I'm going to freshen those up a little bit, and I got new spring isolators coming for under the body for that, and then I got to put the brake lines on the axle too, so that's all coming.